I need to get the 4 best runs of the horse's life the day of the show. I can't have them the day before the show. I can't get it the day after the show. It's my job to make sure that he peaks the day that we compete.
Welcome to Season 3 of The Short Score, the Team Roping Journal's weekly news update show, where you can find the latest on the sports leaders from the jackpot world of the USTRC and the World Series of Team Roping to the pro rodeo ranks. I'm Chelsea Schaefer.
And I'm Caitlin Gustov.
And we'll be your hosts. Today's episode is the perfect preview for this week's American Rope Horse Futurity Association World Championship. Shay Carroll stopped by to give us an audio roping lesson about getting young horses ready for the Futurity and making sure they peak at the right time. This is something that barrel racers talk about a lot, but now it's new to the roping industry, and we're really excited that Shay brought this topic to us, and I hope y'all enjoy today's episode. Today's episode of The Short Score is brought to you by the Cowgirl Gathering. On November 13th, there's a team roping with 2,500 added in the open and 7,500 added in the 9.5. On November 14th, they're having a breakaway roping with 11,500 added in the open and 10,000 added in the challenger. And there's a barrel race on November 15th with 20,000 added in the open 5D and 3,500 added in the Paint Horse Bred Incentive Program. This is an amazing event that is part of a huge weekend in women's rodeo that's alongside the WCRA's Women's Rodeo World Championships, and it's alongside the WPRA World Finals. That weekend is going to give out $1.2 million to women in rodeo, and the Cowgirl Gathering is another very special part of that. They're going to have a Cowgirl Essence Exchange as well across the street at the Cowboy Channel Studios. And remember, it is all in the Fort Worth Stockyards. The Cowgirl Gathering in the Fort Worth Stockyards, November 13th to the 15th.
So I'm driving over to Granbury today. I got to work a couple of my fraternity horses, and we're 2 weeks away from the horse show. And one of the things I was just thinking about is how conscious I need to be of making sure that these horses peak the day of the show. You know, horses can only operate at a certain high level for so many runs. As they get older, you know, that number of runs is going to go up and increase. But even the good rodeo horses, you know, they can only go 20, 25 runs in a row before a guy needs to put it back together. And the great ones may be able to do more than that. But these young fraternity horses, I mean, it's a totally different deal. And what I mean by that is I need to get the 4 best runs of the horse's life the day of the show. I can't have them the day before the show. I can't get it the day after the show. It's my job to make sure that he peaks the day that we compete. And one of the things that I do, and I think all great trainers do this, is make sure that the horse has been exposed to everything that he's going to see at the show prior to the show, but I'm talking, you know, months prior. So what I do is something that I call interval training, where you may introduce the horse to a high rate of speed and put stress on him only for 1 or 2 runs months in advance. And once again, we're talking about 4-year-olds that aren't used to just going back to back to back. And then I'll slow them down, put them back together, gain their confidence, and then show them the same stress, the same speed again, and then pull them back. But I'm going to do this, you know, months before the day I have to show. And I'm going to go back and forth until I would be able to stay at that high stress level for multiple runs. Say I could run 6, 7 steers back to back to back to back, no scores, without the horse falling apart, and then I'm going to back him back off. Well, I'm going to do that interval training all the way up to the show. So the days prior to the show, I'm making sure that I'm working on the finer things but I'm very confident that my horse is comfortable going at the speed that I'm going to need at the horse show. And what I think that does is it allows me to know that my horse is going to peak the day of the show and not the day prior to the show. What I see a lot of times happen is guys, they're constantly pushing up to the day of the show, and by the time we get to the show, the best day that the horse had was maybe 1 or 2 days prior. But by training the horses this way and exposing them early to the level of stress, bringing them back, gaining their confidence, exposing them to more stress than they may experience at the rope horse show, and then bringing them back, I think it allows a guy to be able to control the day that the horse peaks. And as we get closer, we're 2 weeks away, as we get closer, I need to be listening to these horses and see what they're telling me as far as what they need, and do my best job to make sure that they peak at the day of the show. And something I'm going to be focused on. I'm going to keep working at it and hopefully do the best job I can for the horses and the owners.
Thank you, Shay, and thank you everybody here at The Short Score for listening to today's episode. We'll look forward to more of these audio roping lessons in the coming weeks, months, and the next year, and we'll talk at you all soon. Next week on The Score, you will have the American Rope Horse Futurity Association's World Champs. Can't wait to talk to them on Thursday. And remember, this episode is brought to you by the American Paint Horse Association's Cowgirl Gathering. This event is going to pay out big money, $250,000 in Fort Worth Stockyards, November 13th to the 15th for breakaway ropers, team ropers, and barrel racers.